Hello, everyone. We are live and we'll give everyone a few moments to trickle in. I see folks are starting to join us. So just want to give everyone a few moments, but hello, good afternoon. And I hope you're having a beautiful day, whether you're here with us right now live or catching this on the playback. Welcome. Thank you for being here and for being part of Hello Alice's growing small business community. So I'll start off as we wait for more folks to join us by introducing myself. My name is Danielle Teleria, and we have some really incredible panelists with us today. They are my friends. I'm very excited to introduce you all to them, and we'll be making those formal introductions in just a moment. So I'm here from my home in Miami, Florida, and I have the pleasure of serving on Hello Alice's marketing team. And in that role, it means I get to connect and learn from you all, our community of small business owners. So I'm one of the very lucky ones on the Hello Alice team. And I'm going to right now in the chat put my details because I see you all are doing that. So I am putting my introductory details in the chat with you right now, and want to remind everyone that in that chat, you'll see a blue box. Make sure that the drop down is marked for everyone so that we can all see what you include in the chat. So if you're new here, welcome. Welcome to Wonderland. And I'll tell you a little bit about Hello Alice. So Hello Alice is a free to join digital platform that helps small business owners navigate the wonderland of entrepreneurship. How do we do that? Our mission is to get you the money, the learning resources, the opportunities, and the community that you need and deserve to grow. We believe that when all small businesses win, we all win. So thank you for being here and for being part of our community. So today we're going to check in and chat about how you can make this season the summer of your small business, and essentially how all of us here at Hello Alice can help make that happen. So you're going to hear from some great experts from Team Hello Alice and friends. We have an entrepreneur, Stephanie, with us today to share her experiences, and we're going to be talking about learning opportunities, money saving opportunities, grants, loans, marketing, branding tips, and more. And our hope is that you log off today with new tools and inspiration so that you can take action, and that you know that we're all here cheering you on. So I'm going to kick things off by passing along the virtual mic to get started with introductions. So panelists, as when I call your name, if you could quickly introduce yourself and then tell us all one thing or how you plan to grow this summer. Okay, let's start with Stephanie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Kim. I am co-founder of Moonlit Skincare. We've been in business since 2017, and we've expanded and have worked with retailers such as Nordstrom, QVC, Anthropologie, Urban Outfitters, and we've been featured all over in Forbes, BuzzFeed, Marie Claire, et cetera, et cetera. We believe in nighttime beauty and nighttime skincare, so that really is our space. Before this, I worked for Dr. Dennis Gross, Birchbox, L'Oreal, and now I'm fine with Moonlit. So one thing we are focusing on growing this summer is TikTok. So that is what we've been working on, and I will be talking a little bit more about my experiences with Hello Alice and how they have helped me as well.
Thank you, Stephanie. All right, next, how about Nick?
Hi, everybody. My name is Nick Mrzowski. I'm the creative director here at Hello Alice. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. I don't know if you can see out my window, but I got the bridge in the background and all kinds of fun stuff here. I have been with Hello Alice since last fall. Before that, I worked for many years as a creative in magazine publishing industry. So lots of experience with product photography, people photography, image making at the highest levels, and content. And then for 5 years before joining Hello Alice, I ran my own creative consulting business. So I have been in some of your shoes as a solopreneur, doing your own thing and figuring out how to make your way in the world, on your own, which can be really scary, but also really exciting. How am I going to grow this summer? I don't know. I think I'm going to try to get a better tan because I spent way too much of the past year in my living room, just fading away.
Okay, I'll accept that. We all need vitamin D. We need sunlight. We need to get out there.
I'll connect it back to business later.
All right. What about Tristan?
Hi, everybody. So I'm Tristan. I'm the affiliate manager here at Hello Alice. I'm based in Los Angeles, California. And for the most part, what I do here is I manage the Business Solutions Center. I've been in the affiliate space for some time. So it's basically digital marketing. And I've worked with companies of all sizes to help to grow their sales in the e-commerce space. So it's really exciting to be here on the publisher side and kind of help to provide resources for small business owners, which, similar to Nick, I've worked with in the past. So I know how it is. But yeah, as for how I plan to grow this summer, I really want to grow my skills as a marketer. So I'm hoping to take a course on digital marketing, so learning Google Analytics a little bit better. So yeah, that's on the docket for me.
I love it. Okay, Janae, you're up.
Hi, Janae Fortier. I'm sure a lot of you have seen my face in and around the Hello Alice community. Grants are a really popular topic these days. I'm the Director of Grants Administration, something I've been doing and am passionate about for a long time, mostly in the federal, state, and local government levels, but now having the opportunity to really think creatively and be open to the different kinds of ways that we can make grants available for small business owners. I currently live in Memphis, Tennessee, where I was born and raised, but I still sort of consider California my real home. I will get back there. And growing, oh man, I feel like I should have something that was as lovely and professional as Tristan's, but I think on the spot, I'm going to have to say I decided last week that I also need to get out of the house more, not to get a tan, because that's I cannot. I freckle and burn, and I'm protecting the skin. But there are tons of activities happening this summer around town, and I want to take this opportunity while I'm in Memphis to experience it. So growing in my home city as an adult in a way that I, wasn't able to as a kid. So there, hopefully next week I'll be signing up for that succulent teacup class at the Botanic Gardens. That's what I need to do.
Well, I hope you take us along on that journey with you, Janae. I want to know about that class. And we also very soon will be having Matt Brewster join us. So you will see Matt pop up on the screen as a panelist in just a bit. And Matt is our Vice President of Capital Access here at Hello Alice. He is the one that I and so many of us here at Hello Alice go to help navigate financial complexities. And he's going to be here answering all of the questions. So we have an incredible panelist for you all today. I did just see a question about how long this webinar is. We will go for an hour, maybe a couple minutes more if we have some extra questions. We always record these webinars. And as always, the best way to stay up to date on recordings and what's going on in Hello Alice is to make sure that you sign up on helloalice.com, complete your profile, and sign up and subscribe for our newsletter. Okay, so I would love to do a quick warm up. Panelists included, feel free to join in. But if you all in the chat right now could tell me your why. We're all here because we want to grow, or I hope you're here because you want to grow this summer, but I'd love to hear about your why. Why do you want to grow? Tell us all in the chat right now. Why do you want to grow? What is your driving force? I feel like this could be a great level set so that as we absorb all this information in the next hour, we have that top of mind. I love seeing everyone's responses. Freedom. It's such a great one. More time with my family and children to better serve my community, be a better me. My daughter, that is a beautiful one. Quality of life, comfort. That is amazing. Love to see it. Keep them coming in, and panelists, feel free to join in too. And as we get started, if you all have questions, we're going to be carrying the conversation in kind of different chunks. And if you have questions about that specific topic that we're on, include them in the Q&A. So while we will be checking the chat, of course, the Q&A bubble, you're going to want to click on that below. It will pop up a new window and you can add your question in there. That will be your best place to include your question so that I can see it and make sure to bring that question to our panelists. And the last thing before we get started is I am including now in the chat our helpful link stock. And some of my friends will be adding this into the chat several times throughout this conversation. So in that helpful link stock, you will find links to a lot of different things that might come up today, whether it's a blog or a Hello Alice guide, or even just how to subscribe to the Hello Alice newsletter. So lots of things in that helpful link stock. I encourage you to bookmark it. We can even update it after the webinar, but you will be free to see it whenever, and you can even take a look now during the webinar. Okay, so the first thing I'd love to talk about is learning experiences. At Hello Alice, we have lots of them, from free webinars like the one you're experiencing right now to social media events. We have how-to guides. We have collections of how-to guides called Milestones. And we've recently even rolled out premium learning experiences like our workshops and our Boost Camp Accelerator. So we asked Stephanie to join us to really bring in that small business owner perspective, and she's going to chat with you all a little bit about how to get the most out of these experiences. So my first question is for you, Stephanie. So as an owner who's attended different workshops, accelerators, how do you prepare for them so that you can really get the most out of each experience?
Well, I love, Danielle, how you started out with the why, because that is my answer. To get the most out of these webinars, it really starts from the core why. And for context, when I began Moonlit, it was, yes, I had a co-founder, but I still felt really, really isolated and alone. And I felt like the people around me didn't really connect. So I did turn to Zooms and webinars back in 2017. And I've done so many of them that I can say with confidence, you have to start out with the why. Why am I taking this workshop? Why am I sitting here for 45 minutes to an hour and a half? Is there a specific area in my business that compelled me to sign up here? So for me, asking more specific questions before you jump on the Zoom or webinar or Learn Shop, you are going to receive specific answers and get as granular as possible. I write down the questions that I have before the Zoom starts, and usually there's like a description or more information regarding the topic, and really dive into that. If they're vague about it, the chances of the webinar being vague is very, very high. The more specific they are, that sounds like you're going to get something tangible out of it. So again, just get granular, get specific.
I love that. Thinking about preparing your mindset and then your questions before you go in. Such a great point. So what would you say to a small business owner who's a bit shy, doesn't feel comfortable getting on camera in a group workshop or something like that? What would you tell them if they were apprehensive about attending live learning events?
You're not alone. I think that there's a lot of extroverts that are introverts coming out of their shell to attend events like these. And they're probably the same caliber of shyness with you. And you can also ask questions in chat. You don't have to talk on camera. I'm a big, big believer in messaging people who are there, showing up as panelists as well, and finding areas to connect. They're there for a reason. They're there to help. They're there to share their message. And the odds of them wanting to help someone else present are really, really high. Again, I think Hello Alice is a great place to start because you don't ever have to turn on your camera if you don't want to. If you're really that shy, they're not going to force you to do that. So for introverts and extroverts alike, this is a great place to start. You've already done it.
And so what styles of learning experiences do you find most helpful as an entrepreneur?
Most styles, I think that first, understanding that you're there to learn and sit and intake information. And so one of the first things that I do when I sit down in a webinar is actually grab a cup of tea or coffee, because it feels like I'm sitting and learning. And I feel like it's very grounding as well. So I personally use this really high technology called a notebook and a pen. And I feel like it's a really great method for me to take physical notes, review them offline, and take a look at them. So much of our work is already on the computer, and it's hard for me to just mentally delegate things. So if I have it tucked away in a notebook, in hard copy, it's way easier for my brain to process later. And again, like, being specific is key. So again, ask questions, get granular. If you're discussing best practices, best hiring, ask them what platforms they went through. Ask them specifically, do you have a template that you could share? A lot of people are willing to share these things.
That is great, great advice. Okay, so you've gone through the workshop, the webinar, and accelerator, and now you have all these notes. What do you do after the experience to make sure that you're taking those takeaways and turning them into action?
Yeah, so at the beginning, like I said, before I jump on a Zoom call or a webinar, I try to have my why, my question, and going back and taking it back and putting things on your calendar is really important. Making notes, making goals, like that's the entire point of you being on this call. That is really, really helpful. And understanding that, especially with the Hello Alice workshops and boost camps, I felt like I was sitting down with business consultants. I truly, truly felt that. It's harder to sift through all of the different offerings that people have and find those. But again, I think it's really, really important to get involved in the webinars that are specific and very, very detailed in what they're going to offer you, because that's what you're going to get back.
All right, Stephanie, before I ask my last question for you on this topic, if anyone else has any specific questions for Stephanie at the moment, if you want to include those in the Q&A and we can ask. But my last question for you, from me, Stephanie, is why? We've been talking a lot about why. Why should your fellow entrepreneurs schedule time this summer to prioritize learning?
Yeah, so I can speak for the consumer product goods industry. It's a little slower in the summer. There's a reason why there's Amazon Prime in the summer in July. So it's an ideal time for my co-founder and I to set down and, sow the seeds, to speak, to reap the rewards for fall, winter, when that's usually our busier season with Christmas and the holidays. Kickstarting a project in summer is super, super ideal for us because you have momentum. And I think momentum is actually super underrated and very, very important. And whether it's a new hire or a launch or a strategy that you want to implement, summer is where our team experiments, throws things at the wall, refines, reflects, and you still have enough time to get things moving for fall and winter. So being inspired and grabbing onto nuggets of wisdom year round is great, but I find that the July and August months are really, really important to gain momentum and actually launch for the fall and winter.
Incredible, incredible insight, Stephanie. Thank you so, so much. We have a couple questions for you in the Q&A, including how did you get started?
Yeah, so I started in 2017 with my co-founder. I had been working in the beauty industry for a while with Birchbox and L'Oreal. And I finally got to a point where we were going to start very bootstrapped. And to this day, we are still bootstrapped. So again, if you are starting bootstrap, you need to make a profit off the bat. And that is still very, very important to us. It was slow. The first 2 years were really slow and very, very difficult, but finding that foundation, building your foundation is really important. So we got an article a month into our launch by Refinery29, and retailers contacted us. And I DM'd every single editor I could find through Instagram back then in 2017. It's a very different world now. I don't know if that method would necessarily work, but that is what worked for us.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And Stephanie has actually attended workshops and accelerators with Hello Alice, and I encourage you all to do the same. If you have not checked out our workshop series, we have 3 every month, and our flagship workshops are designed to engage you in very intense discussions and activities so that you walk away with simple, clear tactics that can be implemented right away. We have 2 that are upcoming. On July 14th, we have one with Alan Clary, and he will be discussing how to self-fund and grow your business. And then on July 21st, we have a workshop that's dedicated to how to optimize your Google business profile to rank higher on Google. And this is specific for brick and mortar locations, but head to that helpful link stock. You will find where you can learn more about each of these workshops and register. And then just stay tuned. Make sure that you're logging into Hello Alice, checking out our newsletter so that you can stay up to date on all of the new workshops we have coming and future opportunities. And Stephanie, it will be staying with us. If you'll have more questions, she will be here.
I just wanted to jump in and add one more thing. I'm
Sure.
actually going to be leading a workshop with Hello Alice,
Yes.
and it's specifically about CPG 101. I'm going to share templates. I'm going to share my lookbook for Moonlit, and you will literally walk away from your Zoom with PDFs that you can absolutely take inspiration from and use the templates and guidelines and stuff. So yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much. And again, the best way to stay in the know on when that workshop is scheduled with Stephanie and how to register is make sure you're following us on social media, you're signed up for our newsletter, and you are checking out helloalice.com. All right, next topic is branding. We have some questions for my pal, Nick. So let's dive in. Okay, Nick, what is the most important thing that a small business owner should keep in mind when it comes to building and protecting their brand?
Okay, this one's easy for me, and it's the truth and authenticity, right? So a really strong, powerful brand is based on something real. And if you just tell people the truth about your amazing product and the reasons that you're making it, and it comes from a place of, it's an authentic part of you, it's something you know about, it's something you believe in, and you're making a great product, and you tell people that in your brand, you will have a powerful brand, and you'll want to protect it because the truth is worth protecting, right? Not just in branding, but like in life, in the world, and how we relate to people. So for me, fundamentally at the core, it's always about being authentic.
Authentic and being honest, that's it. And then
Yeah. I mean, that's where it starts, right? There's a lot of work you have to do. But
I know. I'm
really,
teasing,
if
but
you're
it is that simple, right? Just stay close to your truth.
Well, and if you try to make a brand that's contrary to what you believe in, it's going to be hard to maintain, right? And at some point, somebody finds out, and that could end your company, So if it's about who you are and it comes from that authentic place, that's the most secure, sturdy foundation of a brand that you could build, in my opinion.
Agreed. And if you all have specific brand questions for Nick, you can include them in the Q&A right now. Okay, Nick, so what is one thing a small business owner can do this summer? One thing that you'd recommend to help them level up their brand?
Okay, I wrote down like 4 different ideas for this. So let me pick one. What I would recommend, and I know we're not here to do product shout outs, but I'm going to do one, is if you're not using Canva or other similar digital tools to create your brand elements, I would recommend doing that right away. And what I would look for in a tool is something that is both mobile and desktop friendly and that lives in the cloud, so that your assets can move with you as you move through your workday, your business, because I think it's really, really important that we get outside of our homes, right? You have to, if you may, or even your shop, right? You have to get out in the world and interact with people to understand the market and what the context that your business is operating in. So I'm a huge advocate of working with tools that are flexible and mobile so that you don't get chained to one location all of the time. I love to do my work from places like the beach or a coffee shop or a restaurant or in a cab if I'm on my way to see somebody so I can talk to them in person. So Canva for me has been a great tool for that. Also Dropbox, great for file organization, having access to things. So I would really, really recommend setting yourself up to be able to work from wherever you might be.
I love that. And we will be talking about tools very soon when Tristan shares about our Business Solution Center. So that's totally cool. We can start teasing some of that. And I agree that Canva is just something that every small business owner needs to be using. So thank you, Nick. What are your thoughts on incorporating one's personal identity into their small business brand?
Okay, so I got an example for this one. I was thinking about the place I ordered my lunch from yesterday over here in Brooklyn. It's an awesome shop called Eddie's Grocer. And the way they describe themselves is a zesty Lebanese market and caterer. Basically, it was started by this guy, Eddie, who is a zesty Lebanese guy. That is who he is. That is who his company is. And he has gotten a lot of traction on the internet. If you check out his Instagram, you can see that he is the face of his company. He does a lot of lives and, digital activations. He's out there all the time, but he also has his personal content, which is basically just more of the same content about his business. So he's separated the two, but they populate each other. And in that case, his business is about his personal brand. He is the face of it. That doesn't work for every business, but if that is what you're about, if your why, if your authentic truth is something truly personal, you can build a really powerful brand around that. Sometimes you want to have a little more distance. Maybe you're not selling something where the person is necessarily the point, maybe it's a little distance is better. But in either case, I think what matters is that authentic approach. So I met a small business owner last night at a Hello Alice event here in New York named Jessica Spalding, and she runs a company called Harlem Chocolate Factory. And she's taken an opposite approach to Eddie, but it's working for her very well too. If you look at Harlem Chocolate Factory, it doesn't have her face all over it. It's not about her name, Jessica. It's not personal branding, but her company is built around her personal life experience. She grew up in Harlem. She makes chocolate because she's been interested in chocolate her whole life. And the chocolates that she makes tell little bits and pieces of her lived experience. The stories behind the products are deeply personal, but she doesn't tell it from an I perspective. She tells it from a Harlem perspective. So it can work both ways, but you should probably pick one and that, you can experiment a little bit. So but those are two examples you might look at of how brands that are built around personal beliefs and personal lived experiences can express themselves in slightly different ways successfully.
Okay. What about logos? We know logos are a big deal, but can they really make or break a business, in your opinion?
No, they can't. They're important, but what's really important is being a strong business. The product matters first. So I, as a brand person, logos are important, but they are not where the strength of your business begins. I looked at the Fortune 100 brands, and we have things there like Coca-Cola, Nike, Apple. Those are examples of some of the most iconic logos, memorable in the entire world. There's also a logo in there for a company called Berkshire Hathaway, you may or may not have heard of. And no shade if we have any Berkshire Hathaway people in here, but it's not one of the strongest logos that I've ever seen, but it is one of the most powerful companies in the world. So that's the truth, is it can't make or break your company, as a small business, what is important about your logo is that it can help establish trust and recognition with your audience. So you want your logo to look polished and professional. That way people can believe that your business is legitimate. They can be confident when they give you their money that they're going to get what they paid for, and they can trust you to do what you say you're going to do. And if it has a little bit of flair that they can, remember and come back to you, that's how a logo can be important for a small business. But you know what? If you're looking at your small business and saying, I can't do a logo right now, it's not going to kill you. It's something you can grow into. You have to build that core of a good business first.
All right, we have a lot of questions in here for Nick. One of them, a couple are, can Nick share those other 3? You said you had 4 tips. I allowed you to say 1. So if you want to shoot the other 4, if you have them in your notes in the chat, that would be great. And another question was about, let's see, this is a great branding question. How can I convey my vision and mission in my branding? Any tips?
How can I convey my vision and mission in branding? Okay, so this is going to be on my other tips I shared, but I think it's important to understand that none of this gets built with one action, right? All of it is about consistency and repetition. So if you have a mission, you should start by touching on that mission for yourself, just mentally. Every time you sit down to do something for your brand, say, this is what I'm here for. This is why I'm doing it. And then try to include that over and over and over and over again. And it's okay to be like a broken record, and people aren't going to get bored. People are really smart. They're also really dumb, right? And they don't have a lot of time for you. They have a lot of time for them. That everyone's their own main character in their own movie, and the rest of us are a supporting character. So when they interact with your brand, they might just see it for a minute. But if they see that message over and over again, it can start to stick, right? So focus and consistency is how you build a message over time. Don't be afraid to repeat yourself, but be clear about what you're saying, So start with, what am I here for? Why am I doing this? And let that be infused into all of your work.
Thank you, Nick. And a couple questions about Canva. Canva is a very simple, easy to use design tool. There are tons of templates that you can use on Canva, whether that's for creating a logo or a social media asset or an email header. We definitely encourage you to check it out. And Nick, can you quickly, really even going further back to basics, define what is a brand? What is a company's brand?
Okay, so yeah, a brand is, it's a couple things. A brand is what people perceive you as. It's how your brand is understood by your audience and your customers, the people out there in the world. So on a practical level, what does that mean? It means, what does it look like? What does it sound like? How do you communicate? How do you show up? Where do you show up? And then when we talk about like creative work, branding, often what we're referring to are things like your logo, your color palette, the style of imagery that you share with people about your product, I don't know if you can think of some examples, but like the sound of your brand. So a little chime or chirp, something that's recognizable. All of those little elements collectively add up to your brand voice, your brand style. But what you're ultimately trying to convey with them is like who you are and what you stand for. And some of it is subtle, some of it's more overt. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is that a good answer? You're asking the hard questions here.
I think that's a great answer. And I encourage you all to continue to check out the links in our helpful link stock. I included 2 different milestones, which are collections of guides related to branding. One is creating your brand identity, and the other one is establishing brand guidelines. So make sure that you check those out and keep the questions coming. And if we can't answer them, you all can keep the conversation going and get these questions going. And I just wanted to offer up some simple marketing tips as a representative from the marketing team to kind of go in support with some of Nick's advice and recommendations. And they really just go along with really the themes of this whole conversation. One is scheduling. Make sure that you schedule in some community efforts, whether that's attending a live or jumping on a live webinar, jumping on an Instagram live, or doing an Instagram live with your customers. Make it a point to schedule in time for connections. It's not something that is so easily able to be quantified, and we're able to measure it so perfectly. So it's kind of something that gets pushed to the back burner all the time. But I encourage you all to take moments and schedule in times for connections, because that can be a very powerful marketing tool for your small business. I also encourage you to try something new. A few of us have mentioned this already on the call, whether that's on social. Stephanie said she was diving into TikTok this summer. We have some links to how you can do that we've developed in partnership with TikTok. So I encourage you to do that. TikTok is an incredible resource as a platform for small businesses to get out there. Or if you feel more comfortable on Instagram, but you want to push yourself a little bit out of that comfort zone and try something new, get into Reels, or even just one of the new features that Instagram is offering. Did you know that you can now pin posts to the top of your profile? So if you want to find your favorite posts, or ones that you even think might need some love, pin them to the top of your feed, and those will be the 3 that everyone sees when they go onto your page. So I encourage you to try something new. And then also, summer is a time for vacation, right? So take moments, whether it's an hour, a minute, a day, a week, take a moment from your small business to go back and get inspired, to remember your why, to, like Nick mentioned, to take a walk, to go do something so that you can get inspired about the small businesses around you, by the people around you that inspire you. And you'll see how you can pull from all of that into powerful marketing. All right, so next topic is money. It is our most popular topic here at Hello Alice. I see tons and tons of questions already coming in on this topic. A few questions have come in about how to get access to the recording of this webinar. So we will definitely be recording our webinars. We always do, and we'll be sending it out through an email. But the best way to make sure that you get the emails, to make sure that you are signed up on helloalice.com and subscribe to our newsletter so that you don't miss anything. Okay, so now Tristan is going to talk to us about some ways to save money. So Tristan, if you could share with us a little bit about the Hello Alice Business Solutions Center.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Business Solutions Center is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. So a center of business solutions that we've been putting together for all the small business owners that are members of the Hello Alice community. So some of the workshops that you mentioned earlier can be found there if you're interested in attending those. And then what I specifically work on is collecting different offers and discounts that would be relevant to small business owners. And they all live in there for you to peruse and see what would work for you and your business. So I would highly recommend checking those out. And personally, what I've been doing my best to do is to try to find offers across different verticals that would be relevant for you all. So from all of the kind of operational things, such as like bookkeeping or payroll softwares, and finding discounts for those, to different marketing tools, such as Canva, which we've mentioned a couple of times, along with a lot of other ones that could really help you to grow your business. I go in and try to do my best to get really great discounts and all to help you save money on these tools that can really make a difference for your companies. So, yeah.
Thank you, Tristan. So how many options are available right now on the Solution Center, and how often is it updated?
Yeah, so I'm really proud to say that we have over 70 offers currently in the Business Solutions Center. We just launched it back in March, so it's only been a few months that it's live. So really excited to see such a good trajectory there. And as far as, sorry, what was the next part of your question?
How often is it updated or do
Oh yeah. So as far as how often it's updated, honestly, I would say I add offers in there almost weekly, sometimes every other week. So I definitely recommend checking maybe once a week or so and just seeing what's new. Again, I try to find offers that are kind of in line with some of the themes that we're doing. So this month, I have a couple of SEO focused offers for tools that will help you in that arena. So definitely check that out. In addition to whatever else I can find that I think would really help business owners.
So you got to check back often to make sure that you are not missing any of these really cool deals. And so speaking of special offers, tell us a little bit about Mad Hatter Monday. People that are on today might get a little preview into that and a little heads up on that. So can you share a little bit about Mad Hatter Monday?
Yes. So Mad Hatter Monday is a really exciting new initiative that we put together. And basically what we would like to do is take the Business Solutions Center up a notch. So in addition to these kind of like evergreen offers that just exist, like anytime for you to jump in and look at, we're pulling together some special limited time offers just for you guys. So we're doing our best to find things that you won't be able to find elsewhere or super steep discounts, really long free trials. So you can really try out these tools and they'll be available for, I want to say anywhere from 24 to 72 hours. We'll be launching them every Monday. And for the most part, we'll let you know via email. But if you are logging in and checking in to the Business Solutions Center, you can also find them there. So super excited about that. Our next Mad Hatter Monday offer will be going live on July 11th. So look forward to it.
I love it. And I think the moral of the story is, everyone, you have to be checking in because there's so much happening at helloalice.com. So make sure that you are logging in all the time to make sure you're up to date, and subscribe to our newsletter, following us on social, and we will remind you of all of the cool things available to you. And I'm sharing right now in the chat our helpful link stock. I see a few questions coming in on where can I access the Business Solution Center? How can I find these discounts and offers? So we have that linked in the helpful link stock. You'll see a link to Hello Alice Business Solution Center. And through that, you'll be able to see what workshops are open and also all of the great discounts and offers that Tristan has shared with us. So thank you so much, Tristan. Appreciate it. Okay, so next we have a lot of questions for Janae and Matt. Welcome, Matt. I briefly introduced you before you joined, but we have tons and tons of questions for you both. So I am just going to jump right in. Janae, currently, or this can be for Janae or Matt, whoever wants to answer. Currently, what are the different types of funding opportunities available through Hello Alice right now?
I'll let Matt take that one.
Yeah, we're excited to be able to offer opportunities for funding across what we call the capital continuum, ranging from grant opportunities. At CLGNA Center, but she's got a great way to think about the capital continuum. Grants have no strings attached. And then we have other opportunities for financing if you're not able to get access to a grant, or if you have gotten access to a grant and you just need more money to fuel your business. So we launched the financing marketplace, which essentially is a streamlined application and connection to over 90 different lenders who offer over 100 different products, ranging from term loans to lines of credit and other specialty forms of financing like invoice factoring or equipment financing if you need equipment for your business, or if you're an e-commerce business and other industry vertical specialties. We have a lot of different options to just really meet your business where it's at in terms of the size and stage and the type of capital that you need. Maybe we should dive into grants a little bit more, Danielle. I don't want to say
absolutely. And Matt, could you raise your volume just a tad? We're having a little bit of trouble hearing you. And And on that note, I will shoot it over to Janae. So we get lots and lots of questions about the differences between grants and loans. And we know that we have a lot of different opportunities on helloalice.com for both. So can you share just kind of the top differences between the two?
Yeah, I think there's two important ones. One, grants do not need to be paid back. And so that's what everyone wants to hear, right? Whereas loans, for the most part, do. You might get a loan forgiven. However, you should never plan on that being the case, right? So grants do not need to be paid back unless, I should say, there's a caveat to everything, right? Unless there was a misuse of funds, right? If you don't use the funding for what it's intended for, then there is a chance that the grantor could say, hey, you have to give that back. So that's the first main difference. The second is around eligibility criteria and the determination of whether or not you will be receiving a grant or a loan, right? Grants are always competitive. There will always be more people and a greater need than there is funding available. So you might be eligible for a grant, you apply for it, it will be evaluated by a human who's making a determination on whether or not you've answered all the questions fully, you conveyed your message and your story, and there's a clear need for the grant funding and a good use for that funding. And then you will get a score. Your score will be compared to hundreds or thousands of other applications. And that is how a determination is made, right? Whereas a loan, you want to think of that much more like a checkbox. Do I meet these 5 things? Sometimes it's a computer that says, yep, you checked 1 through 5. Therefore, you are approved for this amount of a loan, right? Sometimes there could be a loan officer actually reading and reviewing and going over your financials, but regardless, it's much more of a check. Do you check all of these boxes? Whereas a grant, I can't stress enough, is competitive, and your application will be evaluated against many, many, many other applications. There's a finite amount of funding, and a decision has to be made about who gets that funding.
Thank you, Janae. Isn't Janae just really great at explaining things? She's just my favorite at explaining these things. It's so great. So we talk a lot about eligibility requirements when it comes to grants and different grant opportunities. So why are terms and conditions so important for our small business owners to be paying attention to?
I can't tell you how many times I've seen questions come through our customer support that say, I don't understand why I didn't get this grant. And it's a very simple, right off the bat, you maybe just didn't meet the eligibility criteria, which means your application never went to someone to even read, right? The first thing we do is check those bullet points in that second section of the Hello Alice terms and conditions that say eligibility. And I'm speaking just about Hello Alice grants at the moment. There will always be a bulleted list that says, how a maximum cap in revenue. We're here to support small businesses, right? So sometimes our partners are looking specifically to help folks who have less than $1 million in annual revenue or less than 5. Do you, for DoorDash is a good example. Are you a restaurant owner? That's an eligibility criteria. Have you experienced a natural disaster? That is an eligibility criteria. So if you were to apply for the DoorDash grant and you were not a restaurant owner, you did not experience damage from a natural disaster, you have more than 3 million in annual revenue, you have more than 50 employees, these are actual all real eligibility criteria. They're all stuck in my head forever. If you check no to any one of those things, our team is going to filter you out because you are not eligible for that grant opportunity, right? So it's really important if you are going to take the time to fill out a grant application and spend your valuable hours in writing those narrative responses, you want to make sure you're doing it for a grant they're actually eligible for, because we cannot review any applications for applicants that were ineligible for that opportunity.
And even if you do meet all of the criteria, there are of course no guarantees, right? It is a competitive process for grants. And Another question we have received is, does it ever cost money to apply for a grant on helloalice.com?
On Hello Alice, no, it absolutely should never cost you money. It may cost you time, and time is money. You may employ a grant writer if you want to, but our grants are specifically designed so that the average small business owner could do it him or herself, and that you would not need a grant writer. We understand that not everyone's medium is writing, right? Maybe you're the best speaker, and so maybe you might want some support for someone to convert your spoken word to convey that message into written word. So I would never say that you shouldn't use a grant writer. I would say I've been seeing a lot of those questions, right? And so I just want to speak on that for 1 second, because I have seen, unfortunately, a lot of scams on Facebook, on the Facebooks. Folks are creating these posts that are going viral saying, give me $50 and your social security number, and I'll fill out a grant for you, right? I really strongly caution you against ever doing such a thing. If the amount that they're asking for seems too low and too good to be true, it probably is. A good grant writer is typically going to charge anywhere from maybe $35 to $100 per hour. And most grants are going to take more than 1 hour of time. You certainly never want to give away your social security number. Don't even give away your EIN to anyone. And always submit the grant application yourself. I highly recommend, don't give them your login to Hello Alice or any other account, right? Give them the questions to the grant. Let them give you what they think would be a perfect winning response, but you should take that, because you're still going to do some work, right? To make sure it makes sense for you and your business and what you're trying to do. You are the one who knows that. Maybe they gave you a good base or a good foundation, but you should take that and apply on helloalice.com yourself, because that's the only way you can also verify that it happened, right? You need to see that and with your own eyes and hit that submit button yourself.
Absolutely. And I do want to encourage everyone to, once again, check out our helpful link stock. You will be able to check out our funding center. And then if you click on grants, you will see all of the open grant opportunities, the opportunities that are open on helloalice.com for you right now. And if you have any specific questions about an open grant, an application, we encourage you to email us at alice@helloalice.com. So that way we can, give you the personalized attention on that question. Janae, we have received a couple questions about if you could clarify what a startup grant is. Amelia Robertson is asking that there seems to be a difference between a startup grant and a small business grant. Could you shine some light on that?
In the Hello Alice world, there is no difference. What you want to pay attention to are the eligibility criteria. And I think that's, everyone has a different definition of small business. Everyone has a different definition of startup. So I wouldn't necessarily look at it in that way. I would think of it more as every single grant that is available, just read the eligibility criteria. And if your business, however you define yourself, meets that criteria, then you should apply. I think that's the simplest way I can say that.
Absolutely. And we have a question here about, will you hear back right away about your grant application? So I'd love for you to speak a little bit about the grant review process and the notification process.
Great. You will almost never hear back right away about a grant application. And that's because humans are looking at your applications, right? I wish I could somehow process tens of thousands of applications at the blink of an eye. Surprisingly, I cannot. But we have a team of folks that are looking at every single application that comes through. There is a chance that if you are ineligible, you could hear back quickly. It will not be an immediate rejection. However, more than likely, 99% of the time, you will not hear back about your grant application at all until well after the application closes, because that's specifically because applications are competitive. So we are comparing applications against each other. So we cannot give a good score, a good review, and a good accounting of who we think deserves the grant because we're waiting until it closes. The difference would be if you apply for something that says on a rolling basis, in which case, just like job applications, they might be looking at them as they're coming in. And once they found the person, the candidate, or the grantee that they want, they could stop and they could close applications and you could hear back immediately. HelloAlice.com, that's not the case. We do not review all eligible applications until the application closes because we don't want to miss out on someone that might have applied in the last week who had an amazing application, is a great business, and we want to make sure they get funded.
Thank you, Janae. And again, you can check out the open grant opportunities through the helpful links doc. And I do want to clarify, because I know you mentioned, Janae, if someone is on Facebook asking for your EIN number, to not give that out. But we had a question come in that a Hello Alice grant application was asking for their EIN number. So yes, in that case, you would include it in your application. What Janae was referencing is if it's from, like an unauthorized kind of.
Correct. Yeah. And I saw some folks in here talking about that too, showing good information in the chat with each other. You just, if someone out there is asking for your EIN, you just need to really know who they are. Think about reference checks, make sure that it's a trusted source before you give that information over. We do ask for your EIN on the Hello Alice application because we also are checking to make sure it's a legitimate business, because there are absolutely scams on both ends of the spectrum.
All right, Janae, before we start talking loans quickly, and I know we're almost running out of time and I have so many questions and you all have been so wonderful. What is your top grant application tip for the summer?
Narrative responses. Really read those questions. If you are given a word limit, go to the max. It's really important. If someone wrote 2 sentences about themselves and I'm looking at that next to someone who wrote a full paragraph, I'm going to focus on that person that wrote the full paragraph and really told me everything that I need to know in that box about who they are, what they need, and what they're doing.
Thank you so much, Janae. And I know there are more questions that have come in for grants, and unfortunately we're not able to get to all of them, but we encourage you to ask these questions to us on social, even the social post about this webinar. We will do our best to answer them. And even in the chat, we're seeing such beautiful examples of you all answering questions for one another. So we love to see that as well. All right, Matt, you are up to talk to us about the financing marketplace. Can you share a little bit about its most significant offerings?
Yeah, I think the most significant thing about the financing marketplace is that we have partners that offer so many different products that we can meet your business where it's at and where you are in terms of your demand for financing. So what's significant really depends on your business and what you're seeking. Mm-hmm. A couple of things that I would highlight about it that make it unique and different. We spend a lot of time developing partnerships for the financing marketplace, and our team reviews every single lender and develops a relationship with them to understand them, their business, and their products. And we have a lot of screens, and we kick a lot of folks out or don't allow them in. And we follow something called the Borrower's Bill of Rights, which I encourage you all to take a look at. It gives you a really good set of guideposts for what to look for in a responsible lender, one that really has your interests in mind, not just making money. We also look at every single loan agreement, the thing that you'll sign at the end of the day to get your money, to make sure that terms are transparent and the cost of financing isn't too high. So we've done a lot of work to narrow down to a set of organizations that you can trust and know that you're going to get a good deal if you're seeking business financing.
And on the financing marketplace page, you will see LendFlow. Can you tell us what is LendFlow and how is LendFlow associated with Hello Alice?
Great question. So LendFlow is a technology company who's our partner that helps us with the back end of processing applications and providing hands-on support, which is incredibly important. Janae mentioned that some lenders make decisions automatically, right? Computers like, yes, you fit this box. You have this much revenue. Your credit score is this number, therefore you're good. That's great. And we do partner with some folks who can execute quickly, but it's really important, we find, to have what we call funding specialists walk applicants through their different options, right? Do you want a term loan, or is a line of credit better for you? Or might you consider a credit card, given your specific case, if you're just managing working capital from week to week? Or should you get an equipment financing loan that'll give you a little bit better terms than a term loan? So the funding specialists really help walk applicants through all the considerations before they go to a specific lender. So it's really that advice before we send you to one of our partners.
Okay, so are there minimum requirements for the loans available? And if someone is not approved, can they reapply? And if so, how quickly?
Great questions. Janae did a great job highlighting the importance of considering eligibility criteria, which also extends for applying to a loan. It is different, as she said. If you meet those criteria, then you will get financing. So it is comparatively less about the narrative. We're not going to ask for sentences or paragraphs. It's really about the financial health of your business. And those criteria are, which are stated on the financing marketplace page, which I know is in the helpful links document. You have to have at least 6 months in business. You have to have at least $8,000 in monthly revenue, or about $100,000 in annual revenue is another just shorthand to think about it. And then you need to have a personal credit score of at least 550. And those criteria represent kind of the common denominator across all the different financing partners that we have. And compared to a lot of other options out there to help you identify financing partners, this is much wider of a pool. And it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get exactly what you're seeking. It just means that there will be one offer for you in the financing marketplace. And I want to emphasize that because, again, the funding specialists are there to help you think about what type of loan you might seek and if you should go through with it. Different than a grant, loans obviously need to be paid back, and not just the money you're borrowing, interest as well. So you really have to think twice about taking a loan. We're happy to be able to help folks through it.
What is your top loan application tip? Just when going through the process, what's your top tip?
Top tip is to gather documents beforehand. Because it's a disheartening experience to get excited, click apply, get halfway through and realize, oh, I don't have my personal credit score. I don't have my financial statements, my income statement, my balance sheet and cash flow statement. I don't have tax returns set. I don't have bank statements, et cetera. So we've got some great documentation also on the financing marketplace page about what you need to gather there. So get that stuff together beforehand so it's a streamlined experience, because it is a fair amount of things you need to prepare. So that'll just make it much less of a headache.
We had a question in here with regards to loans about when the business was incorporated, when they started the business. Does that matter?
Great question. It does. That is the most common measure. Some lenders have different measuring sticks for how long a business has been a business, but that is the most common measure, is when the legal entity was set up. And I just want to there's one really important nuance that applies to a lot of Hello Alice owner owners is if you are a sole proprietor, you might not even have a legal entity. You might use your social security number as your employer identification number. So there, it's just when you started doing business, and you don't need to rely on when a legal entity was set up because you don't have one. So not to worry if that's your situation.
All right. Thank you so much, Matt. Well, I know that we have thrown a lot of information, tools, links, everything at you. And I could speak to these incredible panelists for another hour, but they will probably all start just turning off their cameras on me. Just joking. But thank you all to our incredible panelists for joining. I appreciate you. I know our entire community of small business owners appreciates you so much. Now, everyone who's listening out there, please make sure that you check out all of the resources on helloalice.com. Sign up for a workshop, follow us on social. Through all these things, you will likely get all of your questions answered. So I know we weren't able to get through all of your questions today, and I know that there are so many different things that we could do for you to support this season as the summer of your small business, but keep engaging with us and we can help you over here at Hello Alice. So I encourage you to bookmark that helpful link stock. And as a reminder, this has been recorded and we will be sending out a recording and a recap of today's webinar. And I encourage you just keep asking questions, keep growing, stay inspired, and just go support another small business. So I thank you so much for joining us and go have an incredible summer. Thank you all.